So this presentation is about Module 7 on designing statistical studies. The corresponding module in the OLI textbook talks about a number of different topics, establishing the goals for your study and deciding whether to conduct an observational study or an experiment, selecting the method for getting your sample. The OLI textbook covers, in a sense, more material than the workbook does. The workbook is really focused on your class project where you put all of this into practice. And the first piece, getting ready for the project, is the research proposal. So the idea here is if you were doing funded research, before you get started, you would have to write a proposal to get the grant, to get the funding. So you have to lay out what it is that you plan to do and why. Or if you're writing a thesis in graduate school, before you spend a couple of years working on the thing, you want to have the proposal approved so that it's understood, okay, if you can do these things, then that has accomplished the project. Now, it used to be in this class I would let students make up their own projects, but I've found now that it's better if I just kind of lay it out what the project is going to be, so that we're sure it's something that can work out. And so it takes some of the creativity out of it. Maybe it takes a little of the fun out of it. But at the same time, it gives you a well-defined game plan so you know what to do. So instead of having you write a research proposal, I've written one here. And so the way it goes is, it says, I propose to do this and I propose to do that. And well, the I in that sentence is you, okay? And so this little story here is laying out the plan for what your research will be. So it's important to read this over because this proposal is what defines the project that you will do. So this year, also last semester, I used this source of data, this website that's referenced here, the Global Health Data Index. And I found a data set there with information about mortality rates from various diseases by county in the United States. So the population that we're studying is the set of all counties in the United States. Each individual is a county. There are not any people in our population. Each individual is a county. Okay, and the purpose of the project is going to be to find out how much does the hepatitis mortality rate vary from one county to another, estimate the average for all the counties. So we'll learn something about how the extent of which it matters where you live. Does the place where you live affect your chances of getting hepatitis? Okay. So the proposal, it's all written in the future tense. I propose to do this. I propose to do that. It's saying what you will do. When you get around to writing the research paper itself, that will be in the past tense. There you'll be reporting what you have done. Okay. But it needs to match. In your research paper where you say, this research has achieved the following goals, they need to be the same goals that were laid out in the proposal. Just like if you get funding to carry out a research project in the real world for a government agency or for a university, but then the thing you did is not what you proposed to do, it's not what they paid for, that would be an issue. Okay. So, for our project, we propose to investigate the distribution of the variable. And when I say the variable, I mean the hepatitis mortality rate, to accomplish the following 4 goals. And there are 4 bullet points here. Sometimes people forget to turn the page and don't realize it keeps going. But there are 4 of them. Here, it's the 3rd one and the 4th one here. Okay. And some of that, when you read it right now, you should read it now. Some of it will not make sense. You won't know how to do it yet. Okay. But don't let that bother you. We'll figure that out before you have to hand anything in. You'll know how to do it. Okay. So that's it for the proposal. And then as a separate assignment, a little while later, you'll do the first draft of the project. And every time you submit a new draft, what you'll do is you'll make the corrections from the previous draft, and then you'll add, it'll be 1 or 2 new paragraphs each time you do a new draft. So you'll do your writing in a Word file, and each draft it'll just get a little bit longer, but you print it out as a PDF and to hand in each draft. And so you'll have this section here on what to do, step by step, how to start your paper. You know, open a document in Microsoft Word, make the title for the paper. What is it about? It's about the distribution of the hepatitis rate among United States counties. So you say that in the title. Then you use the subtitle paragraph style, and you put in a subtitle with the author and the date, and so forth. And so you really, it'll tell you what to write about. It says add the introductory paragraph, and then talks about how it should be formatted and what the grammar should be, and the past tense or present, but not the future tense. And you avoid the pronoun I. The paper's not about you, it's about the research. So, this data shows, not I show. Okay. And it has some guiding questions like, what are the goals of the research? So in that first paragraph, you need to lay out, here's what I want to accomplish. And they need to match the proposal. Scroll back a couple of pages to that proposal, and there's the 4 bullet points with the goals. Just copy and paste, but then change the tense to make it in the past tense, and change the pronoun so it's not I. Okay. And you just make sure that your introductory paragraph addresses each one of the bullet points. And so it goes. There's the introductory paragraph, and then There's a paragraph about the data source and their methods. Okay, so where would you find that information? Well, so here's where we're getting our data. You've already been there when you collected your sample, and you know, it's this infectious disease mortality rates thing. So let's look at what you have to work with. I mean, this is the spreadsheet with the original data in it. See, if you scroll down here, there's this data release information sheet where they tell you some things about how they collected the data. And there's this reference here. This is to an article, a journal article from the Journal of the American Medical Association. And here we've got sort of an abstract and summary of that article. You could even go back to the original article if you wanted to find out even more. So, the data listing itself, the brief notes about the data release, summary of the research article that the data came from. If you click over here, there's a summary not written by the authors of the article, but written by this Global Health Data Index, written by those people, talking about where they got the data for their big spreadsheet. And so there you go. So it's really here and here and here where you can find out, you can tell your reader where did you get the data from and what were sort of their methods, roughly how did they get their data. And you include a footnote or an endnote about about your source. You write a paragraph about the accuracy of the measurement. You've already determined that out because you got the margin of error already in that spreadsheet where you got the data and you got the lower boundary and the upper boundary of the confidence intervals. And we showed you how to, in a previous video, how to calculate the margin of error for each county so you can tell your reader what's the typical margin of error. You do like the median of all the margins of error to say how accurate is the data. And then a paragraph about how you did your sample. You made a simple random sample using Excel. And then in an appendix, the end of the paper, the part that most people don't read, stuck on the end, you can have a listing of your data. And so this is a lot to absorb right now, but if you go through it one step at a time, bullet point by bullet point, it shouldn't be too hard. And if you want to see example projects from previous semesters,